So I went to my first Astros game of the 2018 season the other day, and you guys know me well enough to know that I was pretty apprehensive about this.
Right.
I love baseball. I definitely wanted to go see a game, but for many years, I started steering away from going downtown to sporting events and even trade shows.
Sure.
Like hunting and fishing shows and things like that, because I felt like as they developed the downtown area, it makes me more vulnerable, because when you're gathering groups of people, you have this fringe around the downtown. If anybody's been around downtown Houston, since we became a sanctuary city back, I guess, when Parker was the mayor.
Yeah.
There's tent cities all around the fringe where these events are.
Bums of every genre you can imagine.
Well, there's even...
but bums have been here since I was a kid.
They have been, but they haven't been campused around the ballparks like that.
Too.
To the numbers, yeah.
Pierce elevated...
Right.
Since I was like 4 years old,
right,
and I could understand what I was seeing. That tent city has been there.
Okay,
and I'm 50 plus now.
No, I get that, but I think it's worse now than it was because they're being fed there. They got to the point where the mayor had to basically put in an ordinance that says if you bring food to more than 10 people, you have to file for a permit to do so.
Right.
So that was becoming a big problem down there, and so now you have Minute Maid Park. And you have the same parking problems you've always had. And my concern was, just one was first getting there, because traffic is horrible getting there in the evening. Because it was a 7 o'clock game, so we were on the road at 5. So traffic in actually was pretty good. I met some friends. We drove straight in. We didn't sit in line at all until we got to where we were trying to decide to park. So we're going down, I think it's called Crawford Street.
Mm-hmm.
And
what parking cost you? I'm just curious.
That's the part that was amazing. So the further you get away, it's like $20.
Yeah.
So as you get closer, it starts creeping up $30, $40. Well, the people we were with a mother and a baby, and then myself and my friend. And so we wanted to park somewhere close. So we were like, we parked here before, let's park here. Well, we didn't realize that the price in 3 years went up to $50.
Holy
$50 to park 2 blocks from the ballpark.
I'm just curious. They don't do a valet service there, do they?
Not
that I know of.
Yeah, I just thought I would ask that.
They do it. They do it the GRB, and they may have a valet service on the other side. I don't know, but we were on the what would you call the north side of the ballpark,
right?
And so we park, and so I'm going to pay. It's a credit card pay machine. You just go up there. You don't have to put in a slot number. They just want you to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Put the ticket in the windshield of your car.
Right.
So when I was going to pay, one of the machines was being serviced by a guy. So I was like, wow. I says, man, it must be nice to own one of these. And he goes, well, I wish I owned it, but I don't. I go, well, who owns it? And he goes, well, the Astros organization owns it. I go,
probably renting the property or something.
Right.
They lease it.
They lease it, yeah. So he goes, yeah. He says, I think they're trying to get enough money to build like a parking structure here. So what they want to do is take 3 or 4 of those parking lots and build a big parking structure.
Sort of funding it.
Yeah, they're funding it that way. So, and so we paid and got out of the car. And so, of course, I'm not able to carry.
Right.
Okay, because I know I'm going to have to go
going through metal detectors.
Metal detectors and into a sports facility. So we're walking down the block, and it's only 2 blocks, and there was police everywhere. There were 3 officers on every corner that I can see.
Right on.
And they were directing traffic, and they were police officers mingling up and down the sidewalks.
Could you tell if they were watching people?
Yes, they were. They wouldn't let... So, you know how you used to see a guy to be standing there and say, hey, brother, I need to talk to you about something?
Oh, yeah.
They were running those dudes off. If you look like you're even going to sit down on the ground,
right,
there was an officer moving towards you.
Now, I will say, back when they were playing at the Astrodome, there are things about the Astrodome...
Well, they had a perimeter fence, first of all.
That you couldn't get people like that.
Yeah, you had a perimeter fence you had to get through to get to that.
That's access control.
Yeah, which would be a great idea for schools, right? So we walk into the ballpark, and they have barricades set up to move the flow of traffic, so you can move in and about pretty easy. So we get in and we go through the gates, which was really quick. Of course, you have to empty your pockets, go through a scanner, and then they scan your ticket, then you're into the ballpark. Mm-hmm. And so when you're into the ballpark,
Did anybody do pat downs?
No,
Did you
I
ever
didn't see
that?
one.
I'm just wondering if somebody, if it's as bad as TSA.
No, not at that point. I'm sure it has happened.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people that are they just show up stupid.
Right.
And they just are asking for the pat down.
I forgot my knife was in my boot.
Right.
So are pocket knives a big deal there too?
Oh yeah, nothing. You can't carry anything in there.
So almost like walking into like going to fly.
It is like going to fly.
Okay.
Except it's more efficient the way they do it at the ballpark, believe me. And so you get into the ballpark and you're looking at where you want to sit. So they have a lot of access control, which I was really impressed with. I saw a lot of Minute Maid Park employees there. People that had at least had radios on and were in constant communication. You can hear the talk going back and forth. So
I'm sure that all that security is tied together.
Oh, it is. And I'm feeling pretty comfortable about this at this point. So we're at the club level, which I like because I know that's an access controlled area.
Sure.
So to get to the club area, you can either go up this long ramp, and we didn't want to do that. We want to take the elevator. So we went around the corner to get to the elevator. And so while we're standing there waiting for the elevator, they have a line, they have a barricade to where one side's blocked off so they can basically funnel you through one at a time, where they literally get a good shot of your face.
So they're doing facial
They're
recognition.
doing facial recognition as you're walking through that hallway. And so I'm looking over to my right, and there's a security office there, and you can see the security office right next to you. And I think there was about probably 6 60-inch screens with multiple pictures in it.
Wow.
So they were looking at all kinds of different access. And you can see a triangle jumping from face to face to face on some of these places, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So when I was looking at that office, I was looking over to the left of the wall, and there's this picture frame. It's 18 by 24. And inside this picture frame, there's photographs of people that are not allowed back in the ballpark. And
rowdies.
Yeah, the rowdies, apparently. So I was asking the guy, I was standing there, I said, I'm curious, I got to ask you a question. I see these photos on this wall, and I see y'all looking at the screens. They said, does that tie together? He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, these guys have been kicked out of here for various reasons. They could have been like inappropriate behavior.
Right.
It could have been drunkenness. It could have been pickpocket. It could have been soliciting. Whatever it is. So
they had broken some laws.
They had broken some laws and rules, so we don't let them in here.
Right.
So so we get to the elevator, and the elevator's it's kind of archaic because only 6 people at a time can get in there, and they have an access control person outside the door, and they have a elevator operator inside the door.
Wow.
So you are not. And there was 2 HPD officers sitting at that entrance. We happened to be at the media entrance.
That's nice and efficient, though, if you think about it.
It really is. So we get to the club level, and when I get off, 2 people meet me there.
Wow.
And ask to see our tickets, see where we sit. So my ticket's been checked 3 times.
Yeah, so
from the time I get in the gate.
Validation everywhere you go.
Then when I get to the clubhouse elevator, to then when I get to the clubhouse. And so when I get there, it's really easy. You go through 2 glass doors, you sit down, and your seat is very controlled. There's a person at every door, all the way down. And I see roaming police officers all up and down this area. So I was like, this is actually...
Ken, did you feel like you were in prison?
No, I didn't feel in prison.
Oh, my God, man.
I know.
I wanted to point that out while we were on that.
I felt really safe. I felt like if I was a kid in school...
Like a
I would
warm
want
blanket.
To feel like yes, it did. For me, it was a warm, fuzzy moment. And you know how I am about warm, fuzzy moments. I love them all.
I'm not trying to jump off on that tangent, but it was sure a good point to point that out.
Well, that's what we would lead to in this, because we're going to talk a little bit about places you haven't felt so safe in.
Right.
And I for me, I'm a pretty regimented guy. When I look at where I'm going to go enjoy things, because like the ballpark, there was a couple guys you can see from the view of the entire field. We had great seats. We were first base side, mid-level, middle of the field. We can see everything. So I was watching some dudes down in the general admission get rowdy.
Okay.
And man, I mean, within nanoseconds,
people were converging.
4 red coats and 2 HPD guys on these guys.
Define rowdy.
Rowdy was like fighting and throwing beer at each other.
Oh my God, that's
rowdy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they were.
That's...
Well, it's a waste of beer. Hopefully they got charged for a waste of beer, because at $8.50 a beer, that's breaking the law.
That's
man.
being stupid in
that's
public.
Being
for
stupid
sure.
in public.
That prevents
bad
me from
judgment.
going to a baseball game.
What, the $8.50? Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I'll share a story with you. Years ago, I went with a friend, and we took his little kid with us. So he had red baby bottles and he had blue baby bottles. I didn't think anything of it until we got to the ballpark. So
I'm thinking I like your friend.
Yeah. So the blue baby bottles had the formula for the baby. The red bottles had tequila for the grown-ups.
Somebody watched Die Hard 2 and took it to the next level.
Right.
That's funny.
So yeah, so we were sitting there, and we'd get a Coke and then just squirt that.
That's awesome.
Squirt that in the Coke, and we were drinking vodka at the ballpark.
Did you ever shake it and dab it on your wrist or anything?
Oh no. And it was so funny because he said, "Just whatever you do, don't give the baby this bottle."
Yeah.
Unless you want to laugh.
Right. There are ways around that. So I felt, like I said, it was a really safe and comfortable environment. So the game's over, and we're leaving, and we get out. The exit is a lot easier than the entrance, which it should be, right?
Yeah.
So they do open the doors that are normally closed. You go down the ramp, you walk out in the parking lot, and again, twice the police presence than when we were coming in.
Well, they know their drunks coming out now at this point.
Right. So, and it was like 4 blocks deep, which I was impressed. So there were cops on segways in every intersection, manually controlling traffic. One in the intersection, and typically one on the opposite corners
That's
where
just
people are
being
walking.
present. Yeah, just.
But smart. Okay, I like that. So I felt pretty good about it. Now, I was parked close, so I was able to get into my vehicle with relative ease with security all around me. Does that stop somebody from rousting you in the parking lot? No, it does not, but it sure deters a lot of it.
Sure it does. And that's probably a lot of what that $50 went for.
Oh, yeah.
Is that security. You've got to pay these officers. And I guarantee you a lot of that $50 that you pay goes to pay that.
Oh, yeah,
which is
towards
worth
the
it. I mean,
Sure.
if you look at it from that perspective, that $50 becomes worth it to you.
In this day and age, I would completely agree with that, because for me, going back 10, 15 years, I would have never thought that I would have to carry somewhere to protect myself in any city. And it doesn't matter, small town, big city, or neighborhood. You have people now that just look for opportunity to steal or hurt you.
Sure.
They just do. So you need to protect yourself. So that kind of leads me to a question for y'all. Your thoughts and your ideas on how you move about public. How do you choose something that you're going to go enjoy? And do you have a checklist that you go through, or do you just say, hey, that's a band I want to go see, or a bar I want to go to, and I just go?
This is the point where Sam and I get to the conversation and we headbutt each other and see who's left standing at the end, I think.
It's kind of like that Mountain Dew commercial.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
What? One guess, who's getting drunk and having fun that night?
Exactly. I'm more like Ken. I like to prepare myself before I go. I try to know everything about where I'm going before I go.
Right.
This could be a childhood phobia thing that brings this up. For one, I don't like being in crowds. I don't like people pressing up against me. I don't like people near me. It's a people thing. I just don't like it.
So if you get an opportunity, touch Todd.
Touch Todd, and I will freak out. I won't say exactly what I'll do, but I'll freak out.
And talk low and slow like this.
No, I like that.
Actually, Sam is sitting next to Todd with his hand on his leg right now. So.
I'm kind of enjoying it. He's got a nice, soft touch.
Yeah.
But in my defense, I'm drinking.
Well, now my wife has that nice hand softener in the bathroom. So
there you go.
Lotion. Puts the lotion on its skin.
Yes.
But no, I like to prepare. I like to know where I'm going. I like to have a plan. I like to know an idea of how many people are going to be there. And I'm literally thinking about exit strategies if something goes down.
So how much of carry, then, is a part of that?
All the time. I pretty much carry every day.
Right.
I've got a pistol on me pretty much at all. Even when I'm at home,
right?
I have a pistol on my hip.
Uh-huh.
Now, like I said, that could be a personality thing, some deep-rooted childhood whatever that's causing this, but that's just part of my psychic makeup. I just can't. There's nothing I can get around.
Well, looking around our studio today, Todd and I are actually protecting Sam. So that's our job. Is we're
protecting ourselves from Sam,
or
whichever
from Sam,
it is.
either one, whatever comes. So yeah, so I kind of agree with you.
Okay,
that's
if you say so.
That's how I set myself up as well. I look at like where I go. Now I will say that I look at the risk versus the reward.
I get that.
Okay, so if there's a place that I really, really want to go, I'm going to make sure that I have a pretty good idea of the layers of security involved, the time of day I'm going to, the part of town I'm going to, and whether I'm going to leave my carry in the vehicle.
Right.
I never leave it at home.
You're probably the happy medium between me and Graham if it boiled down to that.
Could be. Yeah, because I'm pretty, as a traveler, I spend a lot of time moving through crowds really fast. My wife can't even keep up, and she's more nimble than
I'm
I
only
am.
concerned with am I wearing comfortable shoes?
Right. Well, and I've been to public places with Sam before, and it's more of a meander. You know, and I understand the limitation you have with, you know, the I understand that part. So comfort is definitely
absolutely
going to be a big thing for you.
Sure.
So for me,
comfort and alcohol.
I just learned. Well, yeah, I learned to throttle back when I'm with somebody like that is not situationally aware as I would be. So I've learned to throttle back. I learned to throttle back, and I'm like, now I have gotten a task.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm now looking for 2.
So I give him purpose.
Yeah, so you complete me.
Oh, I don't like where this podcast is going.
Yeah, this is definitely in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, so literally when I'm with somebody in public, it doesn't matter who it is, and you know, because when you and I try to go somewhere, we both know we're watching.
Yeah,
and the way we sit, how we sit, and the people that are near me, I make sure that my side that I'm going to use is going to be clear and able to get to.
Sure.
Right.
Have I ever had to? No. Have I had a gut feeling that this person that just came through the door has an issue? Yes. Do I focus on that person? Yes. So for me, it's all about that.
Well, I think Graham's aware of that. I mean, I think Graham's very aware of what's
I think he's
going
very
on
aware
around
of
him.
it.
I don't think
Yeah.
Graham just goes with his head up his ass by any stretch.
No.
But he will take the risk. Graham will jump off and take the risk.
Not until after at least the 8th beer.
Exactly.
Then the head goes right. Then the inversion, because it's not that his head's up his ass. He's just trying to get to the alcohol. He just drank.
No. Graham is very aware of what's going on.
Of course he is.
Of course I didn't mean to. I wasn't trying to make that leap.
Well, we know from Sam's background and the way Sam is, we know that for him is definitely a calculation for sure.
Oh yeah.
But what I think is funny about it is that he's probably going to have more fun than we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most definitely.
Because of that. But yeah, I'm all right with that though.
I am too.
For me, so I'm a people watcher by nature. So I'm more of a crowd watcher. When it comes to music events, because we've had this conversation about the music events, I'm more of a listening room kind of guy.
Uh-huh.
I'm not like a loud concert guy. And I don't really care for rowdy, loud concerts. I used to do that when I was a kid, and some of the worst hangovers I've ever had in my life were from those events.
Right.
But when I go to a listening room environment, I'm around a bunch of like-minded people. They're enjoying the artist. We're enjoying that time. I'm not out there screaming, woo, and just looking for girls to lift their shirts and guys to get in fights.
Although I'm going to look at that if it happens.
Oh, I am too, but...
Too bad this isn't a video show, because my shirt is off.
Yeah, it's actually pretty disgusting, because I've never seen people braid their hair on their chest like that before. That's bizarre, dude.
The fact that you looked, I just feel good.
Well, how can you not, man? And it's
so, Graham, what's in your head when you go out to an event like that? So if you're planning on something like this, what are your preps before you head out the door?
Can I get there on time?
Yeah. A very important one.
Are you asking us, or is that what you're saying? Because I can answer that. No. No.
As I will get there. I will know where to buy the alcohol. I'll know where to situate myself to enjoy myself.
Right.
And that's pretty much it. I mean, that's we were talking about a situation not too long ago where I was over off of Richmond Avenue.
Yeah.
And I don't do the kind of prep that y'all do. I'm aware before I go about what I may run into. And even like where I parked my vehicle in this one instance, I was down in inside the loop off of Richmond, and I had to park my vehicle not in a place that was very close to a club where my had some family members, their band had rolled into town, and so I was going to go check them out, and it was in a very poorly lit area. Where it was an ideal location if somebody was gonna spring on somebody, that would have been the perfect area where you wouldn't they wouldn't be seen.
Right.
I just I can count on one hand the number of times that I've carried, and for me, carrying is, did I bring my firearm from my house with me? Mm-hmm. I cannot count. I don't have an instance at all where I've walked into some place that I was going and had my pistol on me. It's in my vehicle. Mm-hmm. You know, if I go, I'll drive through dangerous neighborhoods with a pistol. I may not necessarily stop in those areas that I deem questionable, but I'm never unaware of any place that I go to.
Definitely.
So the contrast between what he just described and me is the fact that I'm going, okay, what if I break down? What if there's a roadblock? What if there's a protest? What if there's something that impedes my travel through that area? So, you know, it's funny because I definitely understand what you're saying, but for me in my brain, I'd have to be in a jet or a helicopter to get through that neighborhood without feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah.
See, I don't have that level of comfort that you have anymore. I used to, but I don't
And
anymore.
I will. The other thing I want to also include is my first weapon that I use is my brain. It's not my pistol.
Sure.
If you're trying to do something to me, I'm going to work as hard as you are to. Okay, if you're trying to get something to me for some reason,
absolutely,
I'm going to try to be your friend to deter you if I don't have the means to before it comes to something else. It's escalation. I use my brain before I escalate to the next thing.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm just not going to go to guns on somebody because he asked me.
Well,
for
no,
time.
I mean, me neither.
But that's me breaking it down.
But I like to know that if you decide to change that relationship, I can definitely terminate it for you. Okay? Because honestly, I agree with what you said, Todd. I mean, here's the thing. There's a big difference between having a license to carry and having the right to carry, and also the wherewithal and know how to exercise those rights.
Absolutely.
Because the one thing we do advocate is that you do use your brain.
Right.
You do make good decisions, and you get excellent training. Not just training, but excellent training.
Yeah, useful.
And you understand the responsibility that the laws have given you. Because here's what I find interesting. Here are some places I really struggle frequenting. Functions at universities. Like we went to a concert at Christmas with some friends, and it was a Tommy Emmanuel, great guitar, Christmas show. It was at the Collins Center at U of H. You can't carry.
Right.
You can't carry on that premises.
I've seen
you can't
some
carry
really
on the
good shows there.
Yeah.
Back when I was married.
Right. Oh yeah. And
not
so
carrying.
Yeah. Well,
in the 90s.
Right. So you can go in and out. I went and without carrying as well, but I can tell you my situational awareness was quite unique because I was able to pick the seats ahead of time. So the seats were strategically located within the theater.
Sure.
So where I can get to A to B. Now I did become pretty friendly with the security there. I did stop and talk to these guys for a little bit because I want them to know me when they see me.
I probably only asked them where the alcohol was.
Right, of course. And so I look at those places like that. I look at movie theaters, okay? Because now we're going to get into... Whoops, that's me. Sorry, guys. We're going to get into an interesting part of this conversation, for me anyway. It's like going to movie theaters, going to restaurants, and going just in general places like grocery stores and retail outlets. So there's a lot of these retail outlets that have identified themselves as gun-free zones.
Sure.
And they've posted say they post the appropriate state regulated signs, the 30-06 and the 30-07. The first thing I ask myself before I use a business like that is, one, do they have what I really want bad enough for me to go on their property, go in their building, turn over my safety to them? Okay? So when I look at these facilities, I go, okay, so the first thing I'm going to look for is the parking lot. I'm going to look for the size of the parking lot. Is it have good access? Is it well lit? And is there a presence of some kind of security on the property? Like a guy riding around on a Segway or somebody riding around on a golf cart.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's level 1 passed. So when I walk through the door and it tells me that there's cameras, there's surveillance cameras everywhere, okay, that's really cool. But is there a presence of any kind of security inside the building? Not an employee, not a manager, but somebody that says, I am security. That's the second one. The third one is I'm going to look for the collective makeup of the customers that shop in and out of this outlet. Okay? Once I feel comfortable with that level, then I'll go about... Damn, I hit that one more time, guys. Sorry. I need to go about my business, and I'm going to go, hey, okay, I'll shop here. Okay? If I don't feel those, I leave.
Yeah.
I leave the premises.
Don't come back, whatever.
Yeah, I'm gone. I leave the premises. I don't come back. So there's several stores in our area that identify themselves as gun-free zones. And just on the grocery side, Whole Foods, Sprouts, and Safeway stores. They are prominent, no guns in our buildings. So I don't shop those.
I don't go.
I don't shop them. That's just the way it is. Okay, well, I just don't. So when I go to movie theaters, same thing. Now, I'm not going to talk about movie theaters too much, but when I go to a movie theater, I'm very specific. I wear black clothes. I wear a black shirt, and I carry a very bright flashlight in my pocket.
Right.
I stop there. I'm not going to say anything else.
You thought your security all the way
Yeah, I'm
through
not
at
going
this
to go through the whole thing, but for me, I'm going to blind you with a light and whatever else.
Right.
And so I'm going to go into that movie theater, and everybody's gone with me knows I don't wear bright colored shirts in places like that. I wear dark colored shirts, and I carry a very bright flashlight with me. And
I try
else.
to look at where incidents have occurred.
Sure.
That's generally what I base it on.
That's where we're going.
So I'll look at where have the most recent incidents happened. What kind of locations were they?
So you're trending.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's how I base a lot of where I will and will not go.
Right.
That's part of my thought process. Generally, you don't see it at a lot of concerts and a lot of ball games because of what you stated. The security presence is heavy, and you're paying for that security presence. Yep. So I'm willing to do that. I would, in that instance, I'd be willing to go to a ball game knowing that I had that kind of security there. Where I'm not willing to go is downtown to, let's say, a restaurant that's off of one of the more seedier streets like Navigation, because I know I'm not going to go there unarmed. I can tell you that. Simply knowing the makeup of the people that are down there, having dealt with law enforcement in the past, I know where these people come from. So if you look at a lot of the homeless, that is not by choice. It's not a mental disorder. A lot of these people are criminals, and they're probably some of the most violent criminals.
Right.
I'm stating facts that I have gotten from law enforcement. These are the worst people in the world: the rapists, murderers, child molesters. That's who these people are for the most part. This is straight from law enforcement statistics. I'm not making this up.
And wouldn't you say they're non-negotiators? They're there with a purpose?
Absolutely.
When they approach you, there's no negotiation.
No.
They're there for something.
Give me X, whatever that happens to be.
Because most security training, most corporate security training will tell you to carry cash in your wallet, but hide cash in your shoe when you're traveling. So that way, when they rob you,
they just get minimal.
They just get minimal money and they're gone.
Exactly.
Because if you give them an empty wallet, you're more likely going to get hurt.
I will agree with what you're saying is, okay, let's just call them street people. They have to have sort of a game face. Because even when I was a kid, like when my mom worked downtown, and I was probably, 10 or 11, I had such a long leash when I was in downtown, only because I had situational awareness, but I was also a bit naive as well.
Well, name the years. Tell me the years.
1977,
night and day from between what it is then and
but the thing is street people are street people.
They are. You're absolutely correct.
There's no difference between a rapist from the 70s than a rapist now.
I can make an argument for that.
How?
There's more of them. There's more of them, but they're more violent now than they were.
They're traveling in herds. I said they're a rapist. Period.
Yeah,
they existed. Your point was they existed.
There is no difference between the 70s and 90s other than 20 fucking years.
Disagree on that.
I don't really understand how.
That's okay. Just move on. We're good.
So, but anyway, the fact that I'm moving around, but I know based off of body language, because I kind of learned that from my parents growing up because of their disability, the things to pay attention to besides the way somebody's voice sounds. I'm looking at their mannerisms.
Sure.
There's a lot of things that I learned as a kid.
Tells.
Yeah. That's why I'm sort of a bit cavalier about how I do things now. I'm looking at a lot of things that other people are not. I'm just not going to walk around in fear. And what I said earlier is, just because I saw fucking Jaws doesn't mean I'm not going to go swim at the beach.
Sure.
Period.
And just to clear this up, I'm not walking around in fear either.
I'm not saying that you are. It's just
I know.
It's
I'm
something
just saying
that
in general. I'm saying in general. So for me, when I walk around, it's definitely not fear. It's a control thing for me.
Yeah.
So if I'm comfortable with what's going on,
that's probably what it is with me.
I'm more likely to enjoy the experience. Okay.
I would say so. Yeah, based on the environmentals of where I'm at, I am perfectly comfortable walking around with the attitude that I have. When there's an uptick of something that all of a sudden my radar goes off, I don't spring into action. I just become a little bit more in tune to what I saw.
You start making plans. You start making mental preps at that point.
That's no different from what we're doing too, because like a lot of people, The thing that annoys me about a lot of these firearms instructors out there is they always teach you to move to contact, move to fire. Well, that's a military thing. That's not a civilian thing.
You run to the fight.
Yeah, you run to the fight. In civilian life, you don't. You run from the fight. Okay? And
from a legal aspect and from an aspect of not getting hurt.
Exactly. Well, you run a 50-50 chance of not coming out of that fight.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, he's probably more practiced and more experienced at his craft than you might be.
Not only that, he's probably have to jump on you at that point. He's ahead of you in the aspect of where you are in this fight.
And he has nothing to lose.
Right.
Yeah.
He has nothing to lose. You do.
Right.
His state of mind is right
way
where it
different
needs to
than
be.
where you're at right now.
So, you know, I could say that from hearing what you described, you do kind of pick and choose based on a criteria.
But it's a different attitude.
Yeah, it's
my
attitude is way
It's just a different mindset. And I don't know if they're that far apart. I think it's just that the way you express it versus the way we express it,
how I look
is
at
a little
it
different.
The way I look at it is I escalate when I have to versus kind of sort of. I'm not saying that y'all are escalated. Mm-hmm. You're just doing things that I'm not. Mm-hmm. That's the best way
I
to
see it that way.
Yeah, and so you know so it kind of gives you an idea. So you have to ask yourself, you know, when you're out in public, you know, is that risk worth that reward?
Right.
And that's the one thing I always look for.
Now, I will say this. So I told you about this particular recent experience with Chief. We'll just call him Chief. So I went over to his house. We were doing a barbecue, and he showed me this thing that he had made with, I don't know, it's kind of remember those, I almost going to call them girdles, but a long time ago, they would have these weight loss things where you would put them on.
Remember the Velcro weight belts you put on?
Okay, so back when we were deployed, for some reason, Chief thought it was a good idea to have a sewing machine. At the time, you know, with the shop that we were running, I was like, this is stupid. Until we had a sewing machine and I saw all the shit
all
that
the
we
practical
could do.
stuff you could do with it.
I was like, oh, fuck. Anyway, we're back home, and he created this sort of a carry conceal holster out of this spandex material.
I'm tracking on it.
So when I came over there to his house, he was going to show me how to do some things with my how to make dog food, basically. So he had this
rig on.
He hit me right at the door, and he's okay. So his background is, you know, he was Leo with the fire department.
Okay.
So he was an arson investigator. You know, he knew his shit. He knew his craft.
Sure.
So he made this little getup, hit me right at the door, put this on, and, you know, kind of wear it the entire time you're here. So at first it was, okay, I'm not used to wearing this thing. Like I told Ken, is where this thing rode on me, it was kind of high, and I'm not going to say too high up, but it was like, you know, probably right about just below my rib cage, you know, on one side or the other.
Yeah.
After a while, I didn't even notice it was there, mainly because I was always conscientious about the shirt I'm wearing. Will my shirt lay up against this thing and print it? It never did. Then after a while, I forgot the thing was on. I almost left with it.
That's how you want to carry.
Yeah. So at that point, because of that contraption, I was like, okay, I actually wouldn't mind having something like that. Only, you know, our choice of firearms are different. He was carrying some kind of, what was it, a Taurus I told you about?
It's a Taurus,
and so I was like, okay, and I'm more of the, you know, if I'm gonna carry a firearms platform similar to what he had, I'm thinking more of the 43.
Gotcha.
Because, you know, I like Glocks, and we have another buddy that's exposed us to some accessories that makes it just a way more capable firearm.
Right.
So in that instance, I would definitely, you know, I probably would go to other places and venture out and carry that thing with these other capabilities that our friends showed us. But I'm not averse to carrying. Right now, I'm not set up to. I don't want to have.
Well, it's a comfort level for you thing is comfort as well, not level, but comfort physically. And I get that because the Lenny McGill and the guys at Glock store, and I'm not endorsing. I'm just saying that they make it.
We are open to endorsement.
We are open to a notification.
Send us money.
Yeah, they have an under gear type concealment clothing for men and women.
Sure.
and it runs right along the vein of what you're talking about, because close to the body like that, as long as you can purchase and deploy it in an economical manner, I'm all for that.
Yeah, it's not a quick draw thing. It's hey, it's
right,
because I don't really think any of us are in a situation.
And it's funny because I have thoughts on quick draw as well, and you're exactly right. Usually, if you're situationally aware and you're not what would call condition black, where it's just an immediate attack and you're fighting for your life without any notification or any warning, you have the time, and I think that's an important moment to stop and think about it.
And theoretically, you're really in cover because you're in a crowd.
That's right. Yeah. Well, this is very true.
Sorry, crowd.
No, it's very true, and it's funny because in the United States, fortunately, we've had very few instances where the crowd actually was a part of an attack like that. Usually this happens in Mexico, South America, Guatemala, and all these other countries, and even in France and London, where you're at a concert and things will break out and happen like that. Fortunately, we haven't had that here in this country, and I hope to God we never do. But when you're looking at comfortably concealing, that would be a perfect thing for you and for even for myself. I think that when you're moving about in public, conceal is just that. It's a concealed weapon. I'm not making any threatening moves to scare anybody away. I'm not like brandishing in any form or fashion. For me, it's the true letter of the law. It's my last resort to protect myself and those that are with me from harm that's coming my way that I could not get away from.
Right.